Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into a book that might just change how you see your marriage.
Oh.
It's called Surviving the Feminist Onslaught, a guide for men in couples therapy,
Okay.
written by Conrad Riker. From what I've heard, this book doesn't hold back.
Interesting.
And that's exactly why I'm so excited to unpack it with you.
Yeah, sounds provocative.
So, right off the bat, Riker, he just drops this bombshell.
What's that?
He claims that modern society is dominated by what he calls female supremacism. Now, before we dive into what that even means, what's interesting to me is that he doesn't just throw this concept out there like as just some abstract theory.
Yeah.
He connects it directly to the experiences of men in couples therapy.
So he's writing from experience then?
He is. That's right. He uses real-life examples, both from his own practice and from his own personal life, to show how this perceived female dominance plays out in the day-to-day realities of relationships. And this is where it gets really relatable, especially for guys who, have been feeling like they're constantly on the losing end of arguments or like their needs are being ignored.
Right.
Riker actually lays out a pretty compelling case that some of those frustrations might stem from a system that's rigged against them.
I see.
One of the key ways he illustrates this is through the concept of relational aggression.
Relational aggression.
What's fascinating here is that it's not about physical violence.
Okay.
It's about a more subtle form of aggression that often flies under the radar.
Oh, interesting.
So we're talking about things like emotional manipulation, playing the victim, or undermining your partner in public.
Oh, I see. Those kinds of tactics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Riker argues that these behaviors can be incredibly damaging to a man's self-esteem and his sense of agency within the relationship.
That makes sense.
Almost like a covert operation, right?
Yeah.
You're being attacked, but you don't even realize it's happening.
Yeah, I can see that.
Riker suggests that men often internalize these experiences, leading to feelings of insecurity, self-doubt, and even depression.
Wow. Yeah.
And what's even more concerning is that society often doesn't recognize these tactics as a form of abuse, which can leave men feeling isolated and unheard.
I can definitely see that.
And that lack of validation can be incredibly damaging. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
You start to question your own sanity, thinking, am I just being too sensitive?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Riker argues that the societal blindness to relational aggression allows it to continue unchecked, creating a power imbalance within the relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost like a form of gaslighting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Where you're being made to feel like you're imagining things or overreacting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Precisely. And that can be incredibly damaging to a man's sense of self and his ability to trust his own perception. Okay, so we've got this concept of female supremacism setting the stage.
Right.
And then we've got this idea of relational aggression as a tactic for maintaining control. Now, Riker takes it a step further.
Okay.
He introduces the concept of double bind.
Bind.
Can you explain what he means by that?
Sure. So essentially, a double bind is a no-win situation where no matter what you do, you're wrong.
Right.
Riker gives the example of a man being criticized for working too much.
Yeah.
But then when he tries to spend more time with his family, he's criticized for not earning enough money.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, yeah.
It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah. And Riker argues that these double binds are often used to keep men off balance and feeling inadequate.
So this is where I think that red pill connection really starts to become clear.
Yeah.
Okay. It's about seeing the patterns, recognizing the ways in which you might be unknowingly participating in a system that's working against you.
Yeah.
That's a really insightful connection.
Thanks.
And Riker actually goes on to apply this analysis to the institution of marriage itself,
Oh, wow.
suggesting that the traditional marital contract has been rewritten in a way that disadvantages men.
So he's not just talking about individual relationships. He's talking about the very structure of marriage as a societal institution.
Right. He argues that what was once a partnership based on mutual respect and clearly defined roles has become a battleground where men are constantly being judged against a shifting set of expectations. This is where I think a lot of guys who are struggling in their marriages will find Riker's essentially saying, hey, it's not just you. There's a systemic issue at play here.
Yeah, definitely.
And he doesn't shy away from naming the culprit. He explicitly points to feminism and its influence on societal norms and legal structure.
Interesting.
Okay, so we've got this idea of female supremacism playing out at both the individual and societal level.
Right.
But what about the legal system? Does Riker address that at all?
He does. In fact, he dedicates a significant portion of the book to analyzing the family court system,
Okay.
which he sees as heavily biased against men.
Right.
He even cites a statistic that's pretty hard to ignore.
Okay.
Fathers are only awarded sole custody of their children in a mere 6% of cases.
That's a staggering statistic. It really makes you question whether the system is designed to serve the best interests of children or whether it's operating on some other agenda.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Riker's argument is that the family court system often operates under the assumption that mothers are inherently better suited to be primary caregivers, regardless of the individual circumstances.
So even if a father is actively involved in his children's lives,
Yeah.
he's already starting from a position of disadvantage.
That's Riker's contention.
Wow.
And he goes on to detail the emotional and financial toll that divorce and separation can take on men,
Yeah.
including the burden of alimony and child support payment,
Right.
which he sees as often unfair and punitive. And this is where I think the red pill perspective intersects with the legal realities of marriage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's about understanding that even if you're going into a marriage with the best of intention,
Right.
there's a legal framework in place that can be used against you if things go south.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Riker's book is a wake-up call for men who might be sleepwalking into a system that doesn't necessarily have their best interests at heart.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is heavy stuff, but I think it's important to have these conversations. So far, we've covered female supremacism, relational aggression, double binds, and the family court system.
It's a lot.
And it's only the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
Riker goes on to explore a range of other topics, including verbal abuse, societal conditioning, and even the impact of female supremacism on children.
So there's even more.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
Okay, well, I'm ready.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and dive into some of the other topics that Riker covers in the book, including verbal abuse, societal conditioning, and the impact of female supremacism on children.
Riker, he doesn't hold back when it comes to unpacking the impact of these societal trends on men's mental health.
Right.
One of the most poignant sections of the book deals with verbal abuse. What's striking is his assertion that society often overlooks verbal abuse directed at men.
Yeah, it's almost as if there's this unspoken belief that men can just handle it.
Right.
That they're strong enough to just brush it off.
Exactly. And Riker challenges that assumption head on.
Okay.
He argues that verbal abuse can be just as damaging as physical abuse, leading to depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts.
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
What I found particularly insightful was his exploration of how societal expectations actually prevent men from seeking help.
Yeah.
It's like they're trapped in a double bind, right?
Yeah.
They're told to be strong and stoic,
Right.
but then they're criticized for not speaking up when they're hurting.
Yeah, it creates a culture of silence where men are suffering in silence, afraid to, to show vulnerability or to admit that they're struggling.
And Riker doesn't stop there.
No.
He also delves into how this societal conditioning plays out on a broader scale, particularly in the media and academia.
Okay.
He suggests that there's a deliberate attempt to portray men in a negative light, contributing to this culture of female supremacism that we discussed earlier.
Right.
His analysis of media portrayals is particularly sharp.
Okay.
He points out how men are often depicted as incompetent, bumbling fools
Oh,
in sitcoms and commercials.
Right.
While news coverage tends to focus on male perpetrators of violence,
Yeah.
enforcing this stereotype of men is inherently dangerous.
I see. Yeah.
It's interesting because even seemingly harmless things like sitcoms can contribute to a narrative that undermines men. You start to see these patterns everywhere once you start looking for them.
Exactly. Challenges us to question the messages we're bombarded with on a daily basis and to consider how those messages might be shaping our perceptions of masculinity and gender roles.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Riker connects these negative portrayals to the rise of what he calls toxic femininity. He argues that as traditional masculinity has been demonized, a certain type of aggressive, entitled femininity has emerged.
So like an overcorrection.
And he provides some compelling examples. He talks about the prevalence of man-hating rhetoric on social media and the way in which some feminist campaigns seem to frame men as the enemy.
Okay.
It's a provocative argument for sure, but I think it's one that resonates with a lot of men who are feeling increasingly alienated and marginalized in today's society.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
It's about recognizing that there's a pendulum swing happening,
Right.
and that the overcorrection can be just as damaging as the original imbalance.
It's all about finding that balance.
Now, one of the things that I've appreciated about this book is that Riker doesn't just dwell on the problem.
Yeah.
He also offers practical solutions.
Oh, good.
He provides a blueprint for men who are looking to navigate these challenges and to create healthier, more fulfilling lives for themselves.
So what does he suggest?
One of his key pieces of advice is for men to reclaim their masculinity.
Okay.
He emphasizes the importance of setting boundaries, pursuing hobbies and interests that foster a sense of purpose and strength,
Okay.
and building strong social connections with other men.
Yeah, finding that brotherhood?
It's about rediscovering what it means to be a man on your own terms.
Right.
Not letting society dictate who you should be or how you should feel.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that masculinity is not inherently toxic,
Right.
but rather a powerful force that can be used for good.
I think this message of empowerment is particularly important for men who might be feeling lost or discouraged.
Yeah, for sure.
Riker is essentially saying, you have the power to change your life. You have the power to define your own masculinity.
That's a powerful message.
And he backs up that message with concrete advice.
Like what?
He talks about the importance of physical fitness
Okay.
as a way to build confidence and discipline.
Right.
The value of pursuing a career that aligns with your passion, and the power of finding mentors and role models who embody healthy masculinity.
I like that.
What stood out to me was his emphasis on building a strong support network.
Yeah.
He argues that men need to create a band of brothers, a tribe of men who support each other,
Right.
and who can provide guidance and encouragement.
Yeah, that sense of community is crucial, especially in a world where men are often feeling isolated and under attack.
Right.
It's about creating a space where you can be vulnerable, where you can share your struggles, and where you can receive support without judgment.
This resonates with me on a personal level. There's something incredibly powerful about connecting with other men who understand what you're going through,
Right.
who can offer advice and encouragement,
Yeah.
and who can help you see things from a different perspective.
It's a valuable thing.
Riker also provides some very practical strategies for navigating the challenges of marriage and relationship.
Like what?
One technique he recommends is the gray rock method.
Gray rock method. I've never heard of that.
Now that's a new one for me. What's the gray rock method all about?
It's a technique for dealing with manipulative or emotionally abusive individuals. The idea is to become emotionally unresponsive, like a gray rock.
So you're not giving them the reaction they're seeking.
Exactly. You're essentially starving them of the attention and emotional energy they're trying to feed off of.
It sounds like a way to protect yourself from getting sucked into their drama.
Precisely. It's a way to disengage from the conflict,
Right.
and to create some emotional distance.
This is gold, especially for guys who might be dealing with partners who are prone to emotional outbursts,
Yeah.
or manipulative tactics.
For sure.
It's about taking back your power and refusing to play their game.
Absolutely.
Riker also dedicates a whole chapter to navigating the workplace, which has become increasingly challenging for men,
Right.
especially with the rise of what he calls feminist ideology in corporate culture.
It's a different world out there now.
This is where things get really tricky because you're dealing with a power dynamic that's not always in your favor.
Right.
Riker acknowledges that.
Yeah.
He talks about how men can often feel silenced or marginalized
Yeah.
in workplaces that prioritize female voices and experiences,
Right.
where any assertion of traditional masculinity can be misinterpreted as aggression or sexism.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you navigate that minefield?
That's the question.
What advice does Riker offer?
He provides some really insightful tips.
Riker.
He talks about the importance of being aware of your body language and tone of voice,
Right.
especially when interacting with female colleagues.
It's about being respectful without sacrificing your own authenticity, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to become a completely different person.
Right.
But you you do have to be mindful of the way you're coming across.
Exactly. And he also encourages men to be strategic in their communication, choosing their words carefully
Right.
and avoiding phrases that could be perceived as offensive or insensitive.
Sounds like walking a tightrope,
It is.
but I think it's crucial advice in today's climate.
Sure.
Riker also addresses the sensitive topic of sexual harassment allegations in the workplace.
Wow.
He acknowledges that sexual harassment is a serious issue.
Of course.
That needs to be
Right.
But he also argues that men can be falsely accused.
Yeah.
And that these accusations can have devastating consequences.
Of course, it's a delicate.
It is.
We need to take legitimate claims of sexual harassment seriously,
Right.
but we also need to ensure that due process is respected,
Right.
and that men are not unfairly targeted.
Exactly. And Riker provides some really valuable advice for men who find themselves in these situations.
Yeah.
He talks about the importance of documenting everything,
Yeah.
seeking legal counsel,
Yeah.
and protecting your reputation. It's about being proactive and knowing your rights.
Right.
Riker's insights extend beyond the workplace and into the realm of education.
Interesting.
Where he argues that boys are often disadvantaged in the modern education system.
Oh wow! So this is affecting boys at a young age.
This is an area that I think a lot of parents are concerned about.
Yeah, definitely.
Riker provides some pretty shocking statistics.
Okay.
He points out that boys are more likely to be diagnosed with learning disabilities, more likely to be disciplined in school, and less likely to go on to higher education.
That's pretty alarming.
And he suggests that this is partly due to a system that's not designed to meet the needs of boys.
Interesting. So he's saying that the system is set up to favor girls.
That's his argument.
Okay.
He believes that the emphasis on emotional intelligence and collaborative learning
Right.
often favors girls' learning style, while boys' natural tendencies towards competition and physical activity are often stifled.
I see. So what does he recommend for parents who are trying to navigate this system?
He emphasizes the importance of being an advocate for your child.
Okay.
He encourages parents to be involved in their son's education,
Okay.
to communicate with teachers,
Oh.
and to seek out resources and support if needed.
So be proactive.
It's about recognizing that boys might need a different approach,
Right.
a different kind of support to thrive in the current educational environment.
So finding what works best for your son.
Exactly. And he also suggests considering alternative educational options,
Like what?
like all boys schools or homeschooling,
Okay.
if the traditional system isn't working for your son.
So there are options out there.
It's about finding the right fit for your child's individual needs and learning style.
I think that's important for all children, really.
Now, throughout the book, Riker weaves in these case studies
Okay.
that really bring these issues to life.
So real world examples.
These are real stories of men who have been through divorce, custody battles, false accusations, and other challenges that highlight the very real consequences of what he calls female supremacism.
So he's showing how this actually plays out in people's lives.
These stories are incredibly powerful.
I bet.
They give a voice to men who are often silenced,
Right.
and who feel like their experiences aren't being heard or understood.
It's important to share those stories.
One case study that particularly resonated with me was the story of a man named Mark,
Okay.
who goes through a bitter divorce
Mm-hmm.
and loses custody of his children.
Oh wow.
He ends up losing his job,
Oh no.
his home, and his sense of purpose.
That's awful.
Heartbreaking to imagine what he went through.
It is.
But what's inspiring is that Mark eventually finds a way to rebuild his life.
Good for him.
He starts going to therapy.
Okay.
He joins a support group for fathers,
Right.
and he finds a new job that he's passionate about.
So he finds his way back.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
Yeah.
The ability to overcome even the most devastating setbacks.
Right.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that there's always hope, even the darkest of times.
That's a good message.
Now, there's another case study that I wanted to touch
Sure.
on, because I think it speaks to the issue of false accusations, which we discussed earlier. It's the story of David,
David. Okay.
who was falsely accused of domestic violence by his wife
Oh no.
during a custody battle.
Wow.
It's a chilling reminder of how easily a man's life can be upended by false allegations.
Yeah, that's scary.
As a result of those accusations, David loses his job, his reputation, and access to his children.
Wow.
It takes years for him to clear his name and regain custody.
So he eventually does get his life back.
It's a stark illustration of how the legal system can be weaponized against men,
Right.
particularly in the context of divorce and custody disputes.
Yeah.
Riker uses David's story to highlight the devastating impact that false accusations can have,
Yeah.
and the urgent need for reforms that ensure due process and protect the rights of the accused.
I agree.
One of the most valuable aspects of the book is Riker's focus on the importance of building a strong support network.
Yeah, we touched on that a little bit earlier.
He argues that men can't do this alone.
Right.
They need other men to lean on, to vent, and to share experiences with.
Right. It's that brotherhood again.
That sense of camaraderie and shared understanding can be incredibly empowering.
Absolutely.
It's about creating a support system where you can be yourself, where you can express your vulnerabilities without fear of judgment.
Exactly.
Riker offers some great suggestions for finding those connections.
Like what?
From joining men's groups,
Okay.
attending workshops or conferences, or even connecting with other men online.
Right. There are a lot of options these days.
The key is to find your people.
Right.
Those who understand your perspective.
Yeah.
And who can offer support and guidance as you navigate the challenges of modern manhood.
It's about finding your tribe.
What struck me was his emphasis on quality over quantity. It's not about having a huge network of superficial acquaintances.
Right.
It's about cultivating a few deep, meaningful connections with men you can truly trust.
Yeah, that's where the real strength lies.
In those authentic, supportive relationships where you can be yourself.
Yeah.
Without judgment.
It's a beautiful thing.
Riker provides practical advice for building those connections.
Yeah.
He talks about the importance of regular communication, of making an effort to stay in touch,
Right.
and of being there for each other through thick and thin.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
It's about creating a brotherhood, a tribe of men who support each other and who have each other's backs.
Right.
And it's about recognizing that we're stronger together
Yeah.
than we are apart.
Absolutely.
Riker doesn't shy away from the importance of self-care,
Okay.
something men often neglect.
Yeah, for sure.
He argues that in order to be the best version of yourself,
Right.
to be a good partner, father, and man,
Right.
you have to prioritize your own physical, emotional, and mental well-being.
So taking care of yourself first.
He stresses the basics like exercise, healthy eating, and getting enough sleep.
Right. Those are important.
But he also encourages men to find activities they enjoy that help them relax and recharge.
It's about finding that balance between taking care of your responsibilities and taking care of yourself,
And it's about giving yourself permission to prioritize your own needs.
which can be hard for a lot of guys.
It can.
We're conditioned to put everyone else's needs ahead of our own.
That's why Riker's message is so important.
I agree.
He's reminding men that it's not selfish to take care of yourself.
Right.
In fact, it's essential.
Absolutely.
Riker's advice on finding a therapist who you connect with stood out to me.
Yeah, he specifically recommends seeking out a male therapist, right?
He does.
Okay.
He argues that for men who are struggling with issues related to masculinity, a male therapist might be better equipped to understand their unique challenges and perspectives.
So it's about finding someone who speaks your language, who gets where you're coming from.
And he stresses that it's not about saying that all male therapists are better than all female therapists.
Right. Yeah.
It's about finding the right fit for you,
Yeah.
and you feel comfortable with,
Of course.
and who you can trust to guide you on your journey.
That's crucial advice for anyone seeking therapy.
Riker doesn't just encourage self-care on a personal level.
Okay.
He also advocates for men to be proactive in protecting their,
Right.
especially when it comes to the legal system.
So knowing your rights and standing up for them.
He provides some really practical tips on navigating legal matters,
Okay.
particularly if you're going through a divorce or custody battle. He really emphasizes the importance of being informed and prepared.
Yeah.
He talks about the importance of finding a a good lawyer
Right.
who understands the nuances of men's rights,
Yeah.
documenting everything, and present yourself effectively in court.
So being ready for anything.
It's about going into those situations with your eyes wide open
Right.
and having a strategy in place to protect yourself and your interest.
That's really important.
One of the most striking aspects of Riker's book is his emphasis on staying positive and hopeful,
Okay.
even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
Can be tough.
He acknowledges that the world can feel like a hostile place for men right now,
Yeah, I can see that.
but he also believes that men have the power to create positive change
Right.
in their own lives and in the world around them.
It starts with each individual.
It's about refusing to give up, refusing to be silenced, and continuing to fight for what you believe in.
It's about having that fighting spirit.
It's about channeling that anger and frustration into constructive action.
Yeah, turning that negative energy into something positive.
And it's about remembering that you're not alone in this fight.
Absolutely. There's strength in numbers.
That's a powerful message, and I think it's one that a lot of men need to hear right now.
I agree.
Riker's final call to action is for men to challenge the status quo,
Okay.
to speak out against injustice, and to fight for their rights.
So to be proactive.
He believes men have a responsibility to stand up for themselves and for each other.
Yeah, we have to support each other.
This is where the red pill philosophy really comes full circle, isn't it?
Oh, how so?
It's about waking up to the realities of the world,
Okay.
seeing the patterns, and then taking action to change them.
Right, not just sitting back and accepting things as they are.
And it's about recognizing that that change starts with each individual man
Right.
taking responsibility for his own life,
Yeah.
setting boundaries,
Right.
and refusing to be a passive
Yeah.
participant in a system that's rigged against him.
It's about taking control.
Riker's book is a wake-up call, a challenge, and ultimately a guide for men who are looking to navigate the complexities of modern relationships and societal pressure.
Yeah, it's a roadmap for men who are feeling lost.
It's a book that will make you think, make you question,
Okay.
and ultimately empower you to take control of your own.
Yeah, that's the goal.
As we've been unpacking Riker's arguments, I keep coming back to this idea of a covert contract in relationships, this unspoken agreement about roles and expectations.
Yeah, that underlying dynamic that often dictates who has the power and how that power is wielded.
Riker suggests that this covert contract has been quietly rewritten over the last few decades, often to the detriment of men.
He argues that the traditional expectations of men to be the provider and protector haven't necessarily vanished. It's the reward for fulfilling those roles that seems to have diminished.
Men are still expected to bring home the bacon, but they're no longer necessarily given the authority or respect that once came with that role.
That's Riker's perspective. And this can lead to a sense of resentment and frustration. For men who feel like they're putting in the effort but not reaping the benefits, it's as if they're playing by a set of rules that have suddenly changed without their consent.
It's a recipe for a power imbalance within the relationship.
Precisely. And Riker doesn't shy away from connecting this shift to the rise of feminism and its impact on societal expectations.
This is where I think a lot of men will find validation for their experience. It's not just about individual relationships. It's about a societal shift that has impacted the very fabric of marriage.
Riker provides a framework for understanding how these larger forces are playing out in our personal lives.
What's the solution? How do men navigate this shifting landscape?
Riker emphasizes the importance of communication, of having open and honest conversations with their partners about their needs, their expectations, and their desires. It's about making those unspoken assumptions explicit
Right.
and renegotiating the terms of the relationship.
It's about bringing that covert contract out into the open and rewriting it together.
That's a great way to put it. It's about creating a new agreement, one that is based on mutual respect, understanding, and a balance of
This is easier said than done, of course.
Yeah.
Especially for men who have been socialized to avoid conflict and suppress their emotions.
Riker acknowledges that. He provides some specific tips for communicating more effectively, using I statements to express your needs without blaming or accusing your partner, and practicing active listening to truly understand their perspective.
It's about approaching the conversation as a team, working together to find solutions that work for both partners.
He also stresses the importance of setting boundaries,
Yeah.
of being clear about what you are and are not willing to tolerate in the relationship.
This goes back to that idea of renegotiating the covert contract.
It's about establishing clear expectations and limits and enforcing those boundaries when they are crossed. It's not about controlling your, it's about protecting yourself and ensuring that your needs are being met.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's worth highlighting one of Riker's most powerful messages, the importance of finding your tribe.
He stresses that men can't do this alone. They need other men to lean on, to vent, to share experiences with. That sense of camaraderie and shared understanding can be incredibly empowering.
It's about creating a support system where you can be yourself, where you can express your vulnerabilities without fear of judgment.
Riker offers some great suggestions for building those connections, like joining men's groups, attending workshops or conferences, or even connecting with other men.
The key is to find your people, those who understand your perspective and who can offer support and guidance as you navigate the challenges of modern.
For anyone looking to dive deeper into these ideas, we highly recommend checking out Surviving the Feminist Onslaught by Conrad Riker. You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play books.
It's a book that will challenge your assumptions, validate your experiences, and give you a framework for creating a more fulfilling and empowering life.
Remember, you have the strength within you to define your own path and create the life you want.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.